Nadeem Anjarwalla, one of the two Binance executives detained in Nigeria for alleged tax evasion and other offenses, has reportedly escaped from custody a few days ago. Recall that in February, the federal government detained the two senior executives of Binance amidst efforts by the government to rein in speculation on the naira by cracking down on cryptocurrency exchanges.
The charges against Binance include non-payment of value-added tax, company income tax, failure to file tax returns, and complicity in aiding customers to evade taxes through its platform. Anjarwalla reportedly escaped from the Abuja guest house where he and his colleague were being held after some guards on duty escorted him to prayers nearby at a mosque. The British national, who also holds Kenyan citizenship, is suspected to have departed Abuja via a Middle East airline. We're joined this morning by Dr. Uju Agomo. She's the Executive Director, Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action. Good morning, Dr. Ogbonmwan. Thank you very much for joining us. I would like you to share with us exactly what what picture this paints, the unfortunate incidents of the escape of this Binance executive. What picture does it paint of Nigeria's security architecture?
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for having me. I think the incident, just like I've heard a lot of people say, it really brings a lot of shame, but to the country, both in terms of the capacity of the country to deal with security issues, but again, it raises very critical factors around what we do regarding the places where we detain people and where we keep them in custody vis-a-vis across the board. So there are critical issues that raises. But it's one of shame. It is also one that speaks volumes negatively for the country as a whole and for the security sector as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, those are little details or aspects of, criminal justice system and, of course, prisons that need a lot of help or a lot of fixing. But, the whole idea of a person of his caliber just escaping and disappearing, is that even possible? From the way you've looked at it, is it possible for him to just randomly sneak out of the building, pass the back door, jump the fence, stop the nearest keke, head to the airport to get on a plane, and is that possible without help from within?
Now, I think basically because we don't know the full facts, because I believe that the investigation should be able to bring forward some of these facts, but it does raise a lot of issues, and these issues can really help us in terms of articulating how do we get ourselves to stop these spiral effects that we see. And please just note that, of course, this is not the first time we're hearing that there's been escape, but of this nature. So first is to talk about the places that people are kept. Okay, so how can how can such a person or indeed someone be kept in a facility that has not been officially, at least to the best of our knowledge, known as a designated custodial or detention facility? The law says it clearly. I think Section 9 of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act, the process where a place should be designated as a place as a custodial center. Now, from what I read, is that this is a guest house. So that also raises some issues. Secondly, you had asked the question about, will it not be that somebody have aided this process? So is it a question of negligence, or is it a question where there have been complicity? So it depends again as in terms of facts, the facts that may come up. But that oftentimes it may be even a mixture of so many things. So I think that it is not something right to have a situation where somebody escapes from a place of custody, the manner the person escaped, and also for the person to have the kind of time the person would have had to leave the country. So does it mean that the international passport the person used, because we're told the person went through the airport, as it were, from the information that being said, does it mean that that passport was with that person, or was it that somebody brought it to the person, or was it that the person had enough time to go to their house or wherever they kept the passport to take it? But I think that beyond these specific issues, there are very critical steps as a country that we need to take, and there are very critical questions we should ask ourselves, okay? So the first is about the places where persons have been designated and to as detention and correctional center, and what are the security requirements for such a place.
And I'm glad that you've talked about, these places that have been referred to as designated correctional facilities. If we go back to the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case, and when he was asking for bail, one of the reasons that the judge denied him bail was that, because he did ask to be transferred to Kuje prisons, and one of the reasons was that, they didn't trust the security architecture in Kuje prison. So, first of all, whilst Nigerians have raised eyebrows about the fact that this man was kept in a guest house, could this also maybe be the reason why he was kept in a guest house and maybe not taken to a different holding facility? And the second part of the question is, give us a picture. I mean, we already know what we see on social media, but you work with prisons and correctional facilities, prisoners rehabilitation and welfare action. Give us a picture of what security looks like in this so-called security, in these so-called detention centers.
Okay, thank you very much. So the very first thing I would want to say is that the Nigerian Correctional Service has the highest number of, or should, maybe I should say this, not why I'm qualifying this, and I will explain to you why I'm qualifying. Should have the highest number of persons who are in custody, being that many of the persons there are people who are there for different reasons, including different durations, including some who are there who are lifers, who are going to be in those custody for life. Yeah. Now, and there are about 200 plus, 240 something, 46 or thereabout custodial centers across the country with different types and categories, including the satellite, which is the holding facility. Now, I want to clearly state that there are about 19 institutions in this country that can detain people. And this is a very big issue in the sense that even though they are detaining persons, we do not have a centralized place where we have clearly the number of persons that are detained at any particular time in the number of these agencies. And what are the requirements in terms of the law regarding how long they can keep people in that facility. And I think there's a need for us to come to this question, because even during the last universal periodic review of Nigeria, and the two other ones before that, both in the second and the third cycle, plus the fourth cycle that Nigeria just went through recently, Nigeria has been told that you need to have a place whereby all of the persons who you have kept in custody should be known in terms of numbers, and these places should be known and open to independent agencies to be able to visit them, including, of course, the National Human Rights Commission, Legal Council, and civil society, and the rest of that. Now you ask the question, what is the security situation? Just on Friday, Wednesday last week, which I think was on the 20th, the National Assembly committees, and I think there were 5 committees. It was the House of Representative Committee on Reformatory Institution, the Committee on Human Rights, Committee on Judiciary, Committee on Police, and I think Committee on Interior. They had an investigative hearing on 2 issues. Guess what those 2 issues were? One was on the congestion of custodial centers. The second was on the issue of Kuje escape, what happened in the Kuje Correctional Center on the 5th of July 2022. Now, on the floor of the National Assembly, I did raise certain issues, and I would want to use this opportunity to raise those issues, because just like as I said, if we don't address this problem, we will keep hearing stories this way. And what is that? If you look at section 28 of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019, it has 3 major subsections, and it clearly tells you what needs to happen regarding securing the custodial facilities. That is not happening. So if we really mean well, we must do that. And part of the very first one talks about the security gadget, because if you have all of the things that is said in subsection 1 of that section 28, you will not have had the situation that we have where you have escapes in custodial centers. And by the way, part of the issue that was raised is that there were people who have been said to be investigated from the military and all that. And the people were asking, since 2022. What is the outcome of that? Because you see, if things happen and there is a sense of impunity, the next moment is that it will not deter others who will be planning to go that path. So again, you cannot say that a place that is outside a custodial center is more safe than a place that is within a custodial center. There are reasons why that is the case. The reason is that there are safety mechanisms, and there are also mechanisms whereby intelligence can be collected from other inmates and all of that to be able to find out when there are indications that something may happen. And that is why when you talk about securing the facility, which is one issue, the second issue is which kind of inmates are put in which types of custodial centers. So now you will hear we have maximum security facility, medium security, but that is just a question of name. We need to be able to comply with that section 28 that I mentioned to you. And then when you look at the risks and needs of every inmate that comes in, clearly section 10 of that same Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019 clearly says that this should be happening. Now, when you do that needs and risk assessment, depending on the risks that a particular inmate indicates, you are able to now know which kind of correctional center to send that person, and that correctional center will have those gadgets that,
Dr. Ogbonmwan,
that are related to the issue of that particular risk level. Dr.
Ogbonmwan, I think that there's so many questions that this situation has unearthed for us, and we're hoping that the right questions and the right answers will be preferred. We hear that ONSA has said that they would investigate Interpol. We're waiting to see how this eventually turns out, but we thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you also for having me. But I believe and I hope that this should make us wake up as a nation.